The Galactic Union had a rule older than most star systems. Never land on a Class 9 Deathworld. Not for trade. Not for science. Not even for war. Every species in the Union learned that lesson early. Some planets had boiling oceans. Some had toxic skies. Others contained creatures large enough to destroy cities. But among all known worlds, only a few earned the terrifying title of Deathworld. Earth was one of them. Commander Velker stood silently on the bridge of the exploration vessel Silver Horizon as the blue planet rotated beneath his ship. Beside him, junior analyst Merrick stared nervously at the display screen. "It looks peaceful," Merrick whispered. Velker did not answer. That was the dangerous part about Earth. It always looked peaceful from orbit. Blue oceans. White clouds. Green continents. Beautiful enough to lower your guard. Deadly enough to kill you seconds later. The ship entered scanning range while officers rushed between glowing stations. The bridge remained unusually quiet. Most of the crew came from civilized core worlds where storms were controlled and predators had been eliminated thousands of years ago. Many had never experienced true danger outside military simulations. Earth terrified them. Atmospheric pressure? Velker asked calmly. Higher than Union average, Merrick replied. Gravity? Also higher. Several officers exchanged nervous looks. High-gravity worlds produced stronger life forms. Faster reflexes, denser muscles, tougher bones. Humans evolved under conditions that would cripple many galactic species. And somehow they thrived. Predator count? Velker asked. Merrick hesitated before speaking. Still processing. Moments later the numbers appeared across the main screen. The bridge became silent. Impossible, one officer muttered. Velker narrowed his eyes. Report. Over 8 million predatory species identified across the planet. Fear spread instantly across the room. On most civilized worlds, predators barely existed anymore. Many intelligent races evolved only after their ecosystem stabilized. Earth had done the opposite. Earth rewarded violence, competition, adaptation, and survival. Everything on the planet hunted something else. Even the oceans were nightmares. Venomous creatures. Parasitic insects. Flesh-eating bacteria. Massive predators hiding beneath dark waters. Even plants developed poisons and traps. Science Officer Taylor looked disturbed as she reviewed human dietary records. Commander, she said carefully, humans consume many of these predators willingly. Velker slowly turned toward her. They eat them? Yes. Why? Taylor paused. Unknown. Before Velker could respond, warning lights flashed across the bridge. 3 ships departing planetary atmosphere, an officer shouted. The main screen zoomed toward Earth. 3 small vessels rose from the clouds below. Primitive compared to galactic warships. Yet the bridge crew suddenly became tense. Humans should never have reached space. By every known scientific prediction, Earth should have wiped them out long ago. But humanity adapted faster than logic itself. The view screen flickered to life. A human male appeared. Forward-facing predator eyes locked onto the bridge crew instantly. Several aliens instinctively stiffened. Ancient survival instincts screamed warnings inside their minds. The human smiled casually. That somehow made things worse. This is Captain Elias Ward of the United Earth Defense Fleet, the man said. Unidentified vessel, you are approaching restricted orbital territory. State your purpose. Velker straightened proudly. I am Commander Velker of the Galactic Union Exploration Corps. We come in peace. The human blinked once. Then he laughed quietly. Several officers flinched. Sorry, Elias said. It's just funny hearing that from a ship carrying enough firepower to vaporize continents. Velker felt embarrassed. The human had noticed their weapons immediately. Predator awareness. Another dangerous human trait. Our weapons are precautionary only, Velker replied. Sure they are. Elias leaned slightly closer to the screen. You know, we're aware of what the Union says about Earth. Murmurs spread across the bridge. How? Velker asked cautiously. The human smirked. You think humans learn space travel without listening to signals? Silence followed. Elias folded his arms. Your schools teach children to fear us. Your military studies us. Some species even use humans as bedtime horror stories. Nobody denied it because it was true. Across the galaxy, frightened parents warned their children. Behave, or the humans will come. Elias stared directly into the camera. But the funny thing is, you're scared of the wrong part. Velker felt cold. What do you mean? The human smiled again. You think Earth made us dangerous. A long pause followed. It didn't. The bridge became silent. Earth made us survivors. Suddenly alarms exploded across the command deck. Commander! Merrick shouted. Massive solar eruption detected. The main display shifted toward Earth's sun as violent plasma waves erupted into space directly toward the silver horizon. Panic spread instantly. That flare will overload our shields. Impact in 4 minutes. Escape velocity impossible. Crew members rushed between stations desperately while others froze in fear. The ship was too close to escape. They were going to die. Then Elias spoke again calmly through the chaos. Commander Velker. Velker looked toward the screen. The human captain looked almost relaxed. Velker stared at the human on the screen while chaos consumed the bridge around him. Officers shouted over one another as warning alarms echoed through the ship. Red emergency lights flashed across terrified faces. The solar storm was growing larger every second. Even from orbit, the massive wall of burning plasma looked alive. Estimated impact in 3 minutes. Merrick shouted. Our shields cannot survive direct exposure. Velker's hands tightened behind his back. The Silver Horizon was one of the Union's finest exploration ships, but it was never designed for conditions near a Deathworld star. Human scientists had warned the galaxy for years that Earth's sun was unusually violent. The Union ignored them. Now that arrogance was about to kill everyone aboard. Captain Elias Ward remained perfectly calm on the viewscreen. Commander, he said casually, you're running out of time. Velker swallowed his pride. What assistance can you provide? The human glanced sideways briefly as if listening to someone nearby. Then he looked back. Follow our ships. Several officers immediately protested. That's insanity. They're leading us deeper into the solar wave. No primitive vessel could survive this. Elias heard every word. His smile widened slightly. Primitive, he repeated softly. That's cute. Velker silenced his crew with one raised hand. Explain your plan. Elias pointed toward Earth on the display. There's a magnetic shelter zone forming behind the moon. Our ships know the safe route. Science Officer Taylor looked confused. That maneuver would require flying directly through the outer plasma field. Correct, Elias replied. You would survive? Probably. Probably. The word nearly caused panic by itself. Velker stared at the human carefully. Elias did not sound brave. He did not sound nervous either. He sounded normal. As if risking death against a solar eruption was just another Tuesday. Velker suddenly understood something terrifying. Humans lived like this constantly. Danger was normal to them. Commander, shouted Merrick. Impact in 2 minutes. Velker made his decision. All ships, he ordered, prepare to follow the human vessels. Shock spread across the bridge. Commander! That is an order. The massive Union cruiser turned slowly in space while the 3 small human ships accelerated ahead. Compared to the Silver Horizon, they looked tiny and fragile. Yet they moved with impossible confidence. Human ships entering plasma field, announced an officer. The bridge crew watched in disbelief as the small vessels vanished into glowing fire near the edge of the storm. They're dead, someone whispered. Seconds later, the ships emerged unharmed. Velker's eyes widened. How are they still operational? Taylor scanned the human engines rapidly. They're using rotational magnetic shielding to redirect plasma flow. Velker turned toward her. That technology is forbidden. Not on Earth apparently. The human voice returned through communications. Silver Horizon, your ship is too large. Reduce shield output by 30% or the magnetic current will tear you apart. Several officers looked horrified. Lower shields, Merrick shouted. That will expose the hull. Elias shrugged casually on screen. Keep them high then. Your funeral. Velker hesitated only briefly. Reduce shields by 30%. The crew obeyed reluctantly. Immediately the ship shook violently. Warning sirens screamed. Hull temperature rising. Magnetic instability detected. Plasma wave approaching. Outside the ship, space itself became a storm of fire. Blazing energy slammed against weakened shields while the cruiser groaned under the pressure. Several systems exploded. Crew members were thrown across the bridge. Merrick crashed into a control station with a cry of pain. Stay with the human ships. Velker roared. Sweat dripped down his face as the silver horizon pushed deeper into the inferno. Through the viewscreen, Earth's moon appeared ahead like a dark shield in space. The human ships curved sharply around it. Velker followed. Then the solar wave hit fully. The entire cruiser shook so violently that lights exploded overhead. Smoke filled sections of the bridge. Officers screamed as consoles burst into flames. Shields collapsing. Engine failure on decks 7 through 12. We're losing navigation. For one terrifying moment, Velker believed they were finished. Then suddenly, silence. The shaking stopped. The fire outside vanished. The silver horizon drifted safely into darkness behind Earth's moon while the massive solar storm passed harmlessly around them. Nobody spoke. The bridge crew stared at their instruments in disbelief. They were alive. Against all logic, Elias reappeared on screen holding what looked like a steaming drink. Told you the route worked. Velker breathed slowly, trying to calm himself. You saved us. Yeah, Elias replied. Humans do that sometimes. Several officers exchanged confused looks. Velker stepped closer to the screen. Why? The human raised an eyebrow. Why what? Why help us? Your people know the Union fears humanity. Elias became quiet for a moment. Then he spoke softly. Commander, surviving on Earth teaches you something. The human glanced toward his crew before continuing. When everything around you is trying to kill you, eventually you stop wasting time creating more enemies. The bridge fell silent again. No species in the Union thought like that. Most civilizations reached peace only after eliminating danger from their worlds. Humans reached peace by enduring danger together. That difference suddenly felt enormous. An officer interrupted nervously. Commander, additional ships detected. The bridge display changed instantly. Velker's blood turned cold. Massive vessels emerged from hyperspace near Earth orbit. Black warships covered in heavy armor. Sharp edges. Predator designs. The symbols on their hulls caused several officers to panic immediately. The Carthan Dominion, Merrick whispered fearfully. Even Elias stopped smiling. The Carthans were one of the most feared empires in known space. Unlike the Galactic Union, they believed strength alone determined survival. Entire civilizations disappeared after resisting them. One of the massive warships transmitted a signal instantly. A deep voice echoed across both fleets. This system now belongs to the Dominion. The screen shifted to reveal the Carthan commander. Scarred. Monstrous. His yellow eyes focused directly on Elias. We warned humanity not to expand beyond your world. Elias sighed quietly. Not today, he muttered. The Carthan commander ignored him and looked toward the damaged Union cruiser. You aliens chose unfortunate timing. Velker straightened proudly despite the fear spreading across his bridge. The Galactic Union does not recognize Dominion authority. The Carthan smiled coldly. You will recognize our weapons. Suddenly dozens of targeting markers locked onto the helpless silver horizon. Merrick's voice shook. Our weapons are still offline. The Carthan commander leaned closer to the screen. Humanity survives because the galaxy considers your world cursed. But today, we will prove humans can die like everything else. Silence filled the bridge. Then Elias Ward smiled again. But this time, it was not friendly. See, Elias said softly, This is the mistake everyone makes. The human captain stood slowly from his chair. You all think Earth is dangerous because of the planet. The lights aboard the human ships shifted red. Weapons systems activated. Across Earth orbit, hidden structures suddenly appeared from camouflage. Hundreds of human defense platforms emerged silently from darkness. The Carthan commander's expression changed instantly. Then Elias spoke one final sentence. But Earth isn't dangerous because of the planet. Thousands of missiles locked onto the Dominion fleet simultaneously. It's dangerous because it created us. The bridge of the Silver Horizon became completely silent. Even the Carthan commander stopped speaking for a moment as countless human weapons appeared across Earth orbit. Massive defense platforms unfolded from hidden positions near the moon, asteroid fields, and abandoned satellites. Missile arrays rotated slowly toward the Dominion fleet like predators waking from sleep. Velker stared in disbelief. The humans had hidden an entire war network inside their own solar system. And somehow the Galactic Union never detected it. How? Merrick whispered. Science Officer Taylor answered quietly while scanning the structures. The platforms were disguised as mining stations, communication relays, and debris fields. Velker felt cold. Predators. Humans thought like predators. Not stronger than everyone else. Not faster. But patient. Careful. Waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The Carthan commander growled angrily. You dare threaten the Dominion? Elias Ward leaned back calmly in his chair. No, he replied. I'm informing you. One of the Dominion officers shouted something off-screen. Their fleet began shifting formation immediately. Enemy weapons charging. Merrick warned. The Silver Horizon was caught directly between both fleets. Damaged. Helpless. If war started now, the Union ship would be destroyed instantly. Velker opened his mouth to speak, but Elias interrupted first. Commander Velker, the human said, I suggest your crew brace for impact. Impact? Elias smiled slightly. Humans fight differently. Before Velker could ask what that meant, the entire human fleet moved. Not backward. Forward. The small human ships accelerated directly toward the massive Dominion warships at terrifying speed. Several Union officers gasped. That's suicide. They're too small. They'll be annihilated. But the humans did not slow down. Elias' voice remained calm across communications. All defense stations opened fire. Earth orbit exploded. Thousands of missiles launched simultaneously. Railgun rounds crossed space like lightning. Hidden cannons near the moon unleashed streams of metal at near light speed. The Dominion fleet answered instantly. Bright beams of plasma cut through darkness while enormous warships advanced through explosions without slowing. Then the first human ship reached them. Instead of firing, it crashed directly into a Dominion cruiser. The bridge of the Silver Horizon shook from the explosion. Velker's eyes widened in horror. The human vessel tore through the side of the enemy ship like a missile. Moments later, internal detonations ripped through the Dominion cruiser from within. The massive warship split apart in flames. Shock spread across the Union bridge. They used their own ship as a weapon? Taylor whispered. Elias nodded casually. Sometimes. The Carthan commander roared furiously as more human vessels attacked. Unlike other species, humans ignored traditional space combat patterns completely. They moved unpredictably, aggressively, insanely. One human fighter intentionally flew through the debris of a destroyed ship just to attack from an impossible angle. Another shut down its engines entirely, drifting like dead wreckage before suddenly reactivating weapons point-blank against a Dominion destroyer. Velker realized something horrifying. Humans were completely comfortable in chaos. Because chaos was normal to them. On Earth, storms, earthquakes, floods, disease, predators, and disasters could appear anytime. Humans evolved in disorder. While other species needed control, humans adapted instantly. Commander! Merrick shouted suddenly. Multiple boarding pods detected. Several Dominion pods shot directly toward the crippled Silver Horizon. Velker cursed under his breath. Weapons? Still offline. Security teams? Minimal combat readiness. The Union crew panicked instantly. Most exploration officers were not soldiers. But before Velker could issue orders, Elias spoke again. Hold position. We're sending assistance. A new signal appeared on the screen. Human boarding craft. Small black armored pods launched from Earth orbit toward the silver horizon at terrifying speed. The Dominion pod struck first. Metal exploded across the outer hull. Warning alarms screamed. Hull breach on deck 4. Enemy boarding parties confirmed. Screams echoed faintly through internal communications. Velker grabbed the side of his command station tightly. The Carthans were brutal close combat warriors. Massive. Violent. Ruthless. Against ordinary Union crews, they were unstoppable. Then the human pods arrived. The security cameras activated automatically across the bridge display. Velker watched in stunned silence as armored humans burst from their boarding craft directly into combat. No hesitation. No fear. One human slammed into a Carthan warrior hard enough to crack metal walls. Another fired kinetic weapons while moving through smoke and debris with terrifying speed. A Dominion soldier twice the size of a human swung a heavy plasma blade downward. The human caught the weapon arm and broke it. The Carthan screamed. Several Union officers recoiled instinctively. Humans were smaller than Carthans, but faster and frighteningly aggressive. Velker watched one human continue fighting even after taking visible injuries. Blood covered the side of the soldier's armor, yet the human kept advancing without slowing. "What are they?" Merrick whispered. Taylor's scanner trembled in her hands. "Their bodies are flooding themselves with combat stimulants." "What?" "Adrenaline," she said quietly. "A natural chemical response." Velker frowned. "A combat drug?" "No," Taylor whispered nervously. "Their bodies produce it automatically." Silence spread across the bridge again. Humans evolved to become stronger during danger. The realization horrified everyone. On the security feed, a human soldier pulled off his damaged helmet briefly. Barely older than a child by Union standards. Yet his eyes remained completely focused while explosions shook the corridor around him. Another human voice shouted through comms. "Deck 4 secure." Cheers erupted across parts of the Union bridge. For the first time since entering Earth orbit, Velker saw hope in his crew's faces. Then something changed. The Dominion fleet suddenly stopped firing. Elias noticed instantly. His expression darkened. "That's not good." Velker looked toward the screen. "What happened?" The human captain stood slowly. "The Carthans don't retreat unless they're planning something worse." Long-range scanners suddenly flashed red. Merrick froze in horror. "Commander!" A giant object emerged from hyperspace behind the Dominion fleet. The bridge became silent. It was enormous. Larger than anything Velker had ever seen. A black sphere surrounded by rotating metal structures. Energy pulsed across its surface like a living heartbeat. Taylor looked pale. "No." "What is that?" Velker demanded. But Elias answered first. "A planet killer." Fear spread instantly across the silver horizon. The Carthan commander returned to the screen smiling coldly. "You forced this outcome, humans." Elias stared silently at the massive weapon. The Carthan continued proudly. "The Oblivion engine can crack planetary cores. Earth will die today." Across the bridge, Union officers began speaking in panic. "If that weapon fires, the entire planet, billions will die." Velker looked toward Elias. For the first time since meeting him, the human captain looked angry. Not scared, angry. A dangerous silence filled the communication channel. Then Elias spoke softly. "You brought a planet killer into our system." The Carthan smiled wider. "Yes." Elias lowered his head briefly before looking back up. "Commander Velker." "Yes." "You may want to move your ship farther away." Velker frowned. "Why?" The human's eyes locked forward. "Because humanity is about to stop being polite." The silver horizon drifted silently through the battlefield while burning debris floated across space like shattered stars. Explosions flashed around the Dominion fleet, but everyone's attention remained fixed on the massive black sphere hanging behind enemy lines. The Oblivion Engine, a weapon designed to erase worlds. Even the Carthans kept their distance from it. Velker stared at the impossible structure while fear spread across his bridge crew. The weapon was larger than some moons. Dark energy pulsed across its surface in violent waves that distorted nearby space itself. Science Officer Taylor's voice shook as she studied the readings. It's building gravitational pressure inside a compressed core. Velker looked toward her. What does that mean? It means, she whispered, if it fires at Earth, the planet will literally break apart. Silence consumed the bridge. Billions of humans below had no idea death was hanging above their world. The Carthan commander smiled proudly across the viewscreen. Witness true power, he said. Your species survives only because the galaxy pitted your cursed world. Elias Ward stared at him without emotion. You really shouldn't have come here. The Carthan laughed loudly. You still think humans can resist us? Elias did not answer immediately. Instead, he pressed something on his control panel. Suddenly, every human transmission channel opened at once. Velker heard hundreds of voices flood across communications instantly. Military crews, civilian pilots, orbital stations, ground defenses, entire fleets. Humanity itself was waking up. A calm female voice echoed through the system. Global defense condition raised to black level. Another voice followed immediately. All civilian evacuation routes active. Orbital rail cannons charged. Deep bunker systems online. Subterranean fleets preparing launch. Velker frowned. Subterranean fleets? Taylor's eyes widened in shock as new readings appeared. Commander! The oceans of Earth were moving. Huge sections of water opened slowly across the planet's surface. Massive armored structures began rising from beneath the seas. Hidden shipyards. Entire fleets concealed underwater. More human warships emerged from mountains, deserts, ice fields, even beneath cities. The Carthan commander's smile faded slightly. Velker realized the horrifying truth. Humanity had turned their entire planet into a fortress. Not because they wanted war. Because Earth taught them disaster could come anytime. Asteroids, supervolcanoes, ice ages, plagues, predators. Humans survived by preparing for nightmares. And now the galaxy itself had become another nightmare. Elias finally spoke again. You know the funny thing about humans? The Carthan commander sneered. There is nothing amusing about your species. We know, Elias replied calmly. That's why everyone keeps underestimating us. Suddenly the human captain looked directly toward the camera. You think because we smile, we're harmless. The lights aboard every human vessel shifted red simultaneously. Weapons systems overloaded beyond normal safety limits. Several Union officers gasped. They're pushing reactors past containment thresholds. They'll destroy their own ships. Elias smiled faintly. Probably. Then humanity attacked. But this time differently. Human warships accelerated directly into the Dominion formation without defensive patterns or retreat lines. Some vessels intentionally absorbed enemy fire just to create openings for others. Entire groups of human fighters sacrificed maneuver safety, moving so aggressively that Union tactical computers could barely predict their paths. It looked insane. Because it was. But it worked. Dominion ships began exploding one after another. Humans fought like a species already familiar with death. Velker suddenly understood why. Every human who ever lived on Earth grew up surrounded by danger. Their history was endless war against impossible odds. Against nature. Against disease. Against each other. Humanity's entire civilization existed because countless generations refused to die quietly. The Carthans had mistaken kindness for weakness. A terrible mistake. Enemy losses increasing. Merrick shouted. The Carthan commander roared angrily. Activate the Oblivion engine immediately. The giant sphere began glowing brighter. Space itself distorted around the weapon. Taylor looked horrified. It's charging too fast. Elias remained calm. Yeah, he said softly. That's what I expected. Velker looked toward him sharply. You expected this? The human captain nodded once. Then he pressed another command. Deep within Earth's shadow, something massive moved. At first Velker thought it was an asteroid. Then the object turned. The bridge fell silent. A ship. A monster. An enormous black human warship emerged slowly from behind the moon. It dwarfed every vessel in the battlefield, including the Oblivion engine itself. The hull carried visible damage scars from ancient battles. Thousands of weapon systems rotated across its surface. The name painted along its side appeared in human language. Hades. Several Union officers looked pale. How long has that ship been there? Velker whispered. Elias answered casually. Since the Cold War. Nobody understood the words except humans. But the tone alone felt dangerous. The Hades activated slowly. Massive engines burned blue across space while enormous sections of armor unfolded across its surface. Taylor scanned the ship rapidly. Her hands began trembling. Commander! What now? Its reactor output exceeds Dominion capital ships by impossible margins. Velker stared in disbelief. The Carthans looked shocked for the first time since arriving. Elias leaned back in his chair. You know what the problem is with building a planet killer? The human smiled faintly. Eventually somebody builds something designed to kill that. The Hades fired. No explosion. No dramatic flash. Just one beam of concentrated energy crossing space instantly. The Oblivion engine shuddered violently. Cracks spread across its surface. Then the entire superweapon split apart from the center. The battlefield became white with light. Shockwaves rolled through nearby ships as pieces of the giant weapon drifted apart, burning silently. The planet killer was gone. Destroyed in one shot. Nobody spoke. Not the Union. Not the Carthans. Not even Elias for several seconds. Finally the human captain sighed softly. Well, he muttered, there goes another moon-sized defense budget. The Carthan commander stared at the ruined remains of the Oblivion engine with horror in his yellow eyes. That weapon was invincible. Elias looked back toward him coldly. There's another thing you should know about humans. The Dominion fleet slowly began retreating. For the first time in recorded history, the Carthans were afraid. Elias continued quietly. When something scares us long enough, the human warships advance together through the burning battlefield. We learn how to kill it. The battlefield around Earth burned silently as the shattered remains of the Oblivion engine drifted through space. Pieces of the massive superweapon glowed red while human ships moved carefully between the debris. For the first time in centuries, the Carthan Dominion was retreating. Velker stood motionless on the bridge of the Silver Horizon, watching enemy warships pull away from Earth orbit. Nobody aboard the Union vessel celebrated. They were too shocked. The Carthans feared nothing. Until now. The Dominion commander appeared once more on the view screen. His scarred face no longer carried arrogance. Only anger. You have doomed yourselves, humans, he growled. The Dominion will return with fleets beyond counting. Elias Ward leaned against his command chair calmly. Probably. You think this victory changes anything? Elias looked toward Earth beneath them. The blue planet rotated peacefully despite the war surrounding it. Oceans shimmered beneath sunlight while clouds drifted slowly across continents. Velker suddenly realized something important. Humans fought differently because they protected differently. Most galactic civilizations depended on governments, fleets, and systems. Humans protected families, cities, children, the world. Everything about them became more dangerous when those things were threatened. The Carthan commander pointed a claw toward Elias. One day your species will fall. The human smiled slightly. Maybe. The answer confused everyone on the bridge. The Carthan narrowed his eyes. You admit it? Elias nodded once. Of course. Humans know we're not immortal. Silence followed. Then Elias continued softly. That's why we fight so hard while we're alive. The transmission ended. The remaining Dominion fleet vanished into hyperspace moments later. And just like that, the battle was over. For several long seconds, Nobody moved aboard the Silver Horizon. Then the bridge erupted into noise. Officers speaking at once. Damage reports flooding every station. Medical teams rushing through corridors. But beneath the chaos, Velker sensed something else spreading across his crew. Respect. Not fear anymore. Respect. The human communication channel reopened. Elias appeared again, now looking far more tired than before. "We've cleared a safe route for repairs," he said. "You're welcome to dock at one of our orbital stations." Velker blinked slowly. "You would still assist us after all this?" Elias frowned slightly. "Commander, your ship almost got destroyed helping defend our system. We were not defending Earth intentionally. You still stayed." Velker hesitated. That was true. The Silver Horizon could have fled once repairs stabilized. Yet nobody aboard suggested abandoning Earth during the battle. Somehow the humans had changed the atmosphere entirely. Elias stretched tiredly in his chair. "Besides," he added, "it's considered rude to let guests explode near your planet." A few Union officers laughed nervously. Even Velker smiled slightly. The human captain noticed. "There you go," Elias said. "You're learning." Hours later, Velker stood inside humanity's orbital defense station above Earth. The station was enormous but strangely alive compared to Union structures. Humans filled every corridor, moving quickly between tasks. Some wore military uniforms while others carried tools, medical supplies, or food containers. Everyone looked exhausted. But nobody looked defeated. A young human engineer walked past with a broken arm wrapped in metal support braces while casually drinking something hot and arguing with another engineer about engine temperatures. Velker watched in disbelief. Shouldn't he be resting? Elias glanced sideways. He already did. That cannot possibly qualify as rest. For humans? Pretty close. As they walked deeper into the station, Velker noticed something even stranger. The humans were not celebrating victory. No cheering. No arrogance. Only work. Repairs. Preparation. Taylor approached quietly holding a data tablet. "Commander, I have completed additional analysis on humanity." Velker looked toward her. "And?" Taylor hesitated carefully. "Their species should not exist." Elias overheard the statement and laughed softly. "Yeah, we hear that a lot." Taylor ignored him while continuing nervously. "Their planet experiences constant environmental instability. Their history contains endless wars, diseases, natural disasters, and extinction-level events." Velker nodded slowly. "We know." "No," Taylor whispered. "I do not think we did." She looked around the busy station. Most intelligent life evolves after achieving stability. Humans evolved because of instability. Silence followed. The realization settled heavily over the group. Humanity was not strong despite Earth. Humanity was strong because of Earth. Every storm made them adapt. Every predator made them smarter. Every disaster forced them forward. Their world tried to kill them every day for thousands of years. And humanity survived anyway. Elias stopped beside a large observation window overlooking Earth below. "You know," he said quietly, "the galaxy keeps calling us Deathworlders." Velker stood beside him silently. The human folded his arms. "But humans have another name for Earth." Velker looked toward him curiously. "What name?" Elias stared at the planet below with tired eyes. "Home." For a long moment nobody spoke. Then emergency alarms suddenly echoed through the station. Velker tensed immediately. "What now?" A human officer rushed toward Elias. "Captain, long-range probes confirmed Dominion retreat." Elias nodded once. "Good." But the officer hesitated. "There's something else." The main observation screens activated instantly. Velker's eyes widened. Hundreds of ships were appearing near the outer edge of the solar system. Union vessels. Massive fleets from dozens of galactic species. Taylor looked shocked. "The Galactic Union." A transmission arrived moments later. An elderly alien appeared on screen wearing the silver robes of the Union Council. He looked directly toward Velker first. "Commander, your reports reached us." Velker straightened immediately. Yes, counselor. The old alien slowly turned toward Elias. For centuries, the counselor said carefully, the Galactic Union feared humanity. The station became silent. The counselor continued. We believed Earth created monsters. Elias said nothing. The old alien lowered his head slightly. We were wrong. Several human officers exchanged surprised looks. The counselor spoke one final sentence. Earth did not create monsters. His eyes moved toward the damaged human fleets still repairing outside the station. It created the species that monsters should fear. Silence filled the station. Then slowly, very slowly, the enormous Union fleets lowered their weapons. For the first time in galactic history, humanity was no longer standing alone. And beneath them, the Deathworld called Earth continued turning peacefully through the stars. The enormous Union fleets lowered their weapons one by one until the stars above Earth became completely silent. Thousands of ships from hundreds of species remained motionless facing the blue planet they had feared for generations. Nobody spoke, because every civilization present understood the truth now. Humanity was never terrifying because humans loved war. Humanity was terrifying because humans survived things that should have erased them long ago. Earth tried to drown them, burn them, freeze them, starve them, poison them, and when nature failed, humans fought each other and survived that, too. Commander Velker stared through the observation window at the small blue world below. From this distance it still looked peaceful, beautiful, fragile. But now he understood what the galaxy had misunderstood for centuries. Earth was not dangerous because it created killers. Earth was dangerous because it created people who refused to die. Captain Elias Ward stepped beside him quietly. You know what the funny part is? The human asked. Velker looked toward him slowly. What? Elias smiled faintly while watching Earth rotate beneath the stars. We still think we're the lucky ones. The Union counselor heard that through the open channel and closed his eyes briefly. Because suddenly the oldest galactic warning finally made sense. Never attack a Deathworld species. Not because they are cruel. Not because they are evil. But because if a species can survive a world designed to kill them every single day, then nothing else in the universe ever will. And somewhere deep in the darkness beyond the solar system, the retreating Carthan fleets carried a new warning across the galaxy. Humanity had entered space. And the universe was no longer the apex predator.